Hi, everyone. It's Thursday afternoon. It's about 1:30, and I am thrilled to have Shelley Callahan on the call with me today. Shelley is the Executive Director of the Mohawk Valley Resource Center for Refugees. Now, many of you know that Studio 8 has been doing a big push. We're calling it Studio 8 Donates, working on helping people in the community, helping different agencies in the community. One of the things we've talked about is how in times when things are very uncertain, when people are feeling a little bit lost in the world, it's so important to reach out into the community and help people. And it brings us all together. And we have a tremendous resource in this community with the Refugee Center, and it has made a huge impact on our community. And right now they're finding themselves in a position where they need some help. And so it was a great connection. Actually, one of our clients, Camille Kaler, introduced me to some people over at the Refugee Center, and we decided to get together and help them on a project that they're working on. So Shelley, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Great to have you here. So let's start off with something really simple, Shelley, because although people might know we have a refugee center, I'm not sure that everyone is really familiar with what you actually do and what services you provide. Can you just give us a little bit of an idea of some of the things that you do?
Sure. We've been a refugee center in Utica for about 36 years. We have resettled over 16,000 refugees into the city of Utica. And so what that means is that we have picked folks up at the Syracuse airport and set up housing and apartments for them and provided intensive case management for about the first 90 days. And then also help them find a job, enroll their children in school, establish primary care physicians, and really get their life started here. In addition to that, at the center, we have an immigration and citizenship department, an employment department. We have interpretation and translation services here. We have the Office for New Americans so that we can serve immigrants as well as refugees. And we also partner with BOCES and have about a dozen on-site adult ESL classes, or English as Second Language classes, happening here every day.
Amazing. You know, I have a couple of friends who have come in as refugees, and one of them came in from China many years ago. And I often said to her, if you had to pick me up and move me to China, I would be so incredibly lost. I don't know how to say hello. I wouldn't know where to go to a bank. I don't know the language. I can't find food. To pick up and move to another country it's a daunting task. So these services that you're providing are really helping to ease that transition, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're all about acculturation and helping folks establish self-sufficiency. The agency is measured in many ways about how the folks that we resettle do. And so one thing to note about the resettlement program in the U.S. is that it really is a sort of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So we are here to help refugees get started and to help them get the tools that they're going to need to be successful. And then they are expected to work hard, learn the language, get a job, and do the work of becoming a citizen here 5 years post-arrival. And I think sometimes people don't understand how stressful it is for refugees. You know, they don't come here because they're looking for a new country to live in. They've experienced some horrible things and they've been forced to flee, and they come here seeking refuge. But it really is a program that expects them to help themselves. And I just want to note that 6 months post-arrival, refugees get a bill for their airfare due back to our government. So they have to start paying down their airfare.
Wow. So they really do, you give them that leg up and help them get started, and then they really have to dig in and make it happen for themselves.
Absolutely.
Another great reason for people outside of your agency and the community to reach out and help a little bit, because again, that 6 months is not very long to be able to start making some progress.
Right.
So Shelley, refugees are coming in. You said you talked about immigrants. You have some sections that actually help immigrants as well. Do you want to just briefly tell the difference between a refugee and an immigrant? I think those two words are thrown around, but people don't always know the difference.
Right. So a refugee by definition is someone who has had to flee their country of origin, typically due to conflict like war. It could be natural disaster, it could be famine, something like that. But it's a person who's had to fled their country of origin and seek refuge in another country. And so that's the definition of a refugee. Immigrants obviously move from place to place, of their own will. The other thing to note that when immigrants and refugees come into our country, refugees are the most heavily screened and vetted type of immigrant to enter the U.S. They are screened initially by the UNHCR, who has already determined that they are refugees. And then they are screened by about 10 federal agencies from the U.S., including Homeland Security, the State Department, ICE, the NSA, just a whole host of people over the course of several years to get the proper security screening and medical screening to be able to travel here.
So that's not an easy process, obviously, to go through all of that. And like you said, many of them are waiting for years to get the okay to come.
Right.
So can you give us a couple of stories? I don't know how many people watching actually have had direct interaction with some of the different refugees coming in from different countries, but I would love to have you share some stories of some of the people that have come in and what they've experienced and what they're doing in our community now.
Sure. There's a couple of stories that I'll share. There is a couple Karen refugees that fled their home of Burma, now Myanmar, about 8 years ago. And when they fled, they had to leave their 3 children behind. They didn't feel, running into the jungle was the right thing to do with 3 small children. So they left their children behind with family. And they eventually were resettled here as refugees. And it was a young couple. They worked very hard, got a job, and bought a house in Whitesboro just this past year. And after 8 long years, their children rejoined them in the U.S. just this year. And they were so, I don't even know how to describe their emotions. But what was really incredible to me was they bought the entire staff here lunch from Kentucky Fried Chicken. So all these boxes came on the day that they bought their house because they were so grateful for, the refugee center and the U.S. And I just think about, that was, 50 lunches. That wasn't nothing. And I knew that they had just bought a house and they'd worked so hard and it was amazing. And then we got to meet their children who had just arrived, 3 days prior to that. And it was just incredible. And I think about that when I think about executive orders that want to ban refugee arrivals. It's really, it's separating families. And so there's that story. I also have a friend who works here, Azira Tabucic, a Bosnian refugee, was in law school at the time of the Bosnian conflict, had to quit that, flee her city, and was eventually resettled here. She is our immigration and citizenship manager. And 2 years ago, she was awarded the Medal of Freedom from the Daughters of the American Revolution for her work in citizenship. And I just think, amazing. One, that speaks volumes about who we get as refugees, but also the American story, the melting pot, what is great about this country.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful stories. I love to hear that. And several of my friends, as I said, are refugees. And I feel what you're saying as you're talking about it, how happy they are to be here and how grateful they are after all they've been through to be able to come here, establish roots again, find their way, and then begin contributing back, and to be able to do something to continue to help others who are coming in, or to give their thanks and gratitude, to reach out to those who have helped them. And that, to me, is the definition of community. And that's really why Studio 8 Donates is happening, and it's a perfect example of why we want to help with this project that's coming up. So let's talk a little bit about this project and what's happening right now and what you're looking to do in these next couple of weeks here.
Well, so we've had a little bit of funding difficulty with the refugee arrival ban that's happened twice now. And so what that has meant is that we've had to downsize a bit and cut some positions, and we're really in danger of having to make further cuts, which would really damage sort of the core mission of our agency here. We have been instructed, by our federal partners to maintain our viability as an agency, because they do expect refugee resettlement to resume to sort of normal levels in the next federal fiscal year. But for right now, we're sort of in this legislative mess. And so our arrivals are down, and that is how we get paid. We get paid per arrival. So, and even though our arrivals are lower, we still provide services to literally thousands of refugees and immigrants every year. The classes are still going on. We have never turned anyone away for case management. We have open hours in the afternoon. Anyone can come in and see a case manager. There are so many things that we need to continue to do to serve both the refugee and immigrant communities, but also our other community partners, service providers that we work with. So the Community Foundation has offered to do this match or challenge grant campaign with us to raise $40,000 in total. So for every dollar we raise, up to $20,000, they will match dollar for dollar. And I'm just so excited about it and so grateful.
Another example of people reaching out to help people. The Community Foundation is such a vibrant organization in our community, and they do so many things to help different agencies and people here. I love that you're partnering with them, and I'm happy to be part of this with you. So what you're looking to do is raise, they'll match up to $20,000. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So raise at least $40,000, and
yes.
That will be used to help continue your resettlement programs and all of the things that you're doing to maintain services for the people that are here now, as well as whatever arrivals still trickle in through the, till the end of the fiscal year.
Right. We are still getting some arrivals. We have one scheduled tonight, actually, from Sudan, and some next week, but much, much lower than what we would normally get.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So those of you who are watching, what we're asking is for you to reach out and help. We are looking for donations, and there are two places you can donate. You can actually donate straight to the Refugee Center, and when I send out this link to this video, I'll put the address and all the information right onto the email, so you can send it straight there and give a donation. Anything that you are able and willing to give is very much appreciated. Also, we'll be collecting donations at the studio. So if you would like to just bring your donation into the studio, I will make sure that Shelley gets those donations. We are running this for the next 2 weeks. We want to just really dig in and get some money and some funds going so that we can get the Refugee Center back on track and help them bridge this little bit of uncertain time until the next fiscal year begins. So I hope that you'll take some time to think a little bit about the refugees in our community and what they've done. I hope you'll do some research and look at the amazing organization that we have in the Refugee Center here in our community, and donate. Whatever you can give is very much appreciated. We've set a goal at the studio that we'd like to raise $5,000 of those $20,000. So I'm asking you to donate whatever you can. Shelley, anything else you'd like to add?
Just thank you so much. Honestly, sincerest gratitude. The support that the refugee community has felt from Utica and the local community during these difficult times I think it has meant the world to them. Utica is a special place, and the folks that live here, the refugees that I work with, know it. So thank you.
Shelley, I have said that many times myself. I'm not originally from Utica. I grew up near Buffalo. And when I moved here, one of the things that I was extremely impressed by was how giving this community is. And we see it in so many of the events that we have around town. People are so willing to reach out and help others. And I think it's what makes Utica so special and so unique. So thank you. Thanks for letting us come on board and help. Thank you for spending some time with us today. I appreciate it. And I'm going to send this link out and give everybody the information so that they can get their dollars rolling in.
Thank you.
All right, Shelley. Thank you. Everyone, go ahead and read through the email. And thanks for tuning in today. Thank you, Shelley. And we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right. Bye-bye.